The story of Alex Mail, complicated with high-stake trafficking of drugs, international escapes, and defiance of legal boundaries, sowed its seeds years before he became one of the most wanted criminals in the UK. Mail, 32 years old, is from Weston-super-Mare. He wasn't born with the mask of an elusive fugitive, nor was he branded as a key individual at birth. This follows instead the well-worn path of other people through his connections, minor infractions building into an entire crime-based lifestyle. His name kept popping up in Southwest Regional Narcotics Enforcement, until finally he caught the attention of the NCA and SROCU. Early accounts indicated Mail was involved in local drug dealing that developed into more complex and organized structures of distribution. He kept his relations with the UK illegal drug network very well, to an extent that he found it easy to contact suppliers and distributors. Thus, he is a very respectable figure in the different illegal drug networks. However, by 2020, he had scaled to large dimensions. And this really caught the eye of Operation Venetic Big NCA undertaking, targeting serious drug traffickers who exploited encrypted messaging services. Associations with EncroChat, an encrypted messaging service mainly targeted by criminal groups, branched out to wider attention about directing the management of large consignments of drugs throughout the region. He oversaw the sale of millions of dollars worth of cocaine and ketamine, and thus remained the president of an extremely large network of illicit drug dealers. Operation Venetic brought before the public eye the name Mal, when encrypted messages from EncroChat revealed that he coordinated the logistics behind these drug deals, laundered money, and directed other activities. He was indicted for providing around 130 kilograms of cocaine, with street value £4.5 million, to cities such as Portsmouth, Trowbridge, Bristol, and Bridgewater. More than just a facilitator of transaction, Mail allegedly controlled the flow of cash for his gang and allowed his associated accomplices to live a life funded by addiction-driven profiteering. This summer of 2020, when Mail was first taken into custody by SWROCU, the investigators were insisting that this was the culmination of a significant criminal business. However, the man to whom they had every reason to believe was firmly within their grasp had other ideas in his head. A few months later, Mail was bailed out, a move that would give him an opportunity to make a drastic shift. But he ran out of the country, effectively vanishing into thin air, violating conditions of his bail. Months turned into years as the authorities continued to catch up with his whereabouts, and thus his name appeared in the NCA's most wanted list in January 2022. The escape branded him a serious threat, not only because of the charges still awaiting him, but also of his influence in the narcotics trade, even from afar. This put law enforcement agencies everywhere in Europe, if not worldwide, on high alert for the chase that was across national lines and which had broadly disseminated intelligence networks, which were even watching the entry persons at all borders. In the course of his flight, Mail's tactics proved how he knew to avoid being caught. He was on false documents while he shuffled from country to country whose extradition laws were complicated. One close call for him came when, trying to sneak into Turkey from Portugal, he was apprehended by authorities. Once again, though, the well-intentioned but quagmire of red tape across frontiers allowed him to slip through loopholes, putting authorities back on a frustrating merry-go-round. The Mails were no exceptions to the tales of other notorious criminals. Some of the identified known diabolical culprits who have managed to run for long times and successfully avoided captures includes UK notorious fugitive Mark Acklum, who reportedly spent 5 years before he was apprehended in Switzerland. Stephen Johnson from Scotland ran unchecked all over Europe after he managed to slip from his cell high-security prison. The NCA, along with SWROCU, however, did not let their grip loosen. Indeed, international agencies had proved to be significant allies through all his movements trace up to Mail. This chance allowed him to receive a breakthrough. Morocco often proved to be the last hideout for other fugitives coming from the UK. This time, the Moroccan General Directorate for National Security proved unlucky for Mail when it detained him, accusing him of using false documents to enter the country. He had spent months in detention in Morocco, and thus he was well aware of the fact that his chances of staying free were dwindling with each passing day. Finally, on August 7, 2024, Mail was extradited back to the UK, thus putting an end to 4 years of flight from justice. The capture of Alex Mail in Morocco was in no way an isolated event of a covert operation. It was rather a perfectly choreographed one to emphasize the authorities and the excellence of modern-day fugitive tracking on an international level. This arrest is a great example of cooperation between law enforcement agencies internationally and demonstrates just how significantly more intricately linked and successful law enforcement has become in the age of globalization and forensic digital technology. This criminal spent many years on the lam, and he learned the hard way that international borders are no longer a safe haven to hide behind as they once were. And in this case, Morocco, an unlikely ally in extradition cases, proved to be a critical one. It is for this reason that when Mail tried to infiltrate the country with his fake documents, it was Morocco's General Directorate for National Security, whose record in fighting organized crime is outstanding, which intervened. The Mail arrest underlined a lesson that was extremely important. Cross-border crime fighting, apart from being better coordinated, is now much more high-tech, and no one is beyond the reach of justice. The accused was incarcerated in a Moroccan remand cell within hours of Mail's arrest on January 21, 2024. UK authorities were eager to bring him back into the country for justice and initiated the formal process of extradition with little delay. It is a bitter truth that Mail's well-plotted strategies to stay clear of justice had been outmaneuvered by the joint efforts of the police forces. Through the Joint International Crime Center, the NCA worked with Swaroku and authorities in Morocco to bring him into the UK again. The case proved to be a clear warning to other criminals thinking of attempting flight to foreign climes. Modern policing practices, made all the stronger for international partnerships, are more capable than ever of tracking and catching fugitives. Mail's extradition in the future would symbolize effective extradition procedures in a world where international fugitive apprehension very frequently faces intricate legal challenges and bureaucratic delays, complicated extradition treaties, among others. The whole process, therefore, was bound to last an eternity and never come to a head. But the effective legal cooperation between the UK, Morocco, and other partners demonstrated the persistence it would take to overcome such hurdles. The following weeks saw Mail's prosecution through combined legal efforts. His case handled so carefully to not leave a stone unturned in covering each corner of his criminal past. The Mail, who had under the watch of the JICC, escorted his way back into the UK in August. 2024 was put to end an otherwise eventful 4 years out of justice. The Mail was taken to Exeter Magistrates Court and remanded in custody. This extradition is a high-profile affair that was successful not only by the agencies involved, but of the general fight by the global community for organized crimes. NCA International Regional Head of Operations David Hucker welcomed the result, emphasizing that fugitives like Mail are henceforth not able to end up in the shadows. Fugitives are no longer able to avoid being caught off guard, illustrating that it is increasingly more successful to collaborate internationally. On her part, Detective Superintendent Tina Robinson of SWROCU echoed these sentiments by professing satisfaction at having Mail back behind bars. She indicated that Mail's story became a glaring example for anyone who thought life on the run was worth it, irrespective of the grand effort someone places to run away from justice. The law enforcement proved patient and persistent. Mail's arrest after an exhausting manhunt was not an incident in isolation, but followed the trend of successful international manhunts. The most notable one is the case of one of the fugitives from UK, Jamie Court, for whom nearly a decade had elapsed since his escape when he was finally arrested in Spain with the collaboration of the Spanish law enforcing agencies. Similarly, this time around, yet again another high-profile drug trafficker was caught in Spain after evading capture for a number of years. This time around, once again, the international efforts, particularly the places like Costa del Sol, played a crucial role in bringing the suspects to book. These cases depicted how interoperability between law agencies across the world was rising where borders were no longer a barrier in the apprehension of fugitives. Mail entered Exeter Crown Court on September 13, 2024. It was finally the end of the long saga of evasions, crimes, and failed escapes. Mail had faced various counts: conspiracy to supply Class A and Class B drugs, specifically cocaine and ketamine, and money laundering. He pleaded guilty to all counts except for one, conspiracy to possess a firearm. That was dismissed from the indictment. The plea and confession not only proved that he belonged to the trade, but also to this complex machinery of money laundering that stood behind his syndicate. Mail attempted to come out in a lesser degree of guilt on the firearm count, as if he was trying to scale down the punishment. It was still hard to challenge the quantum scale of Mail's crime syndicate. His gang had managed to smuggle more than 130 kilograms of cocaine worth some 4.5 million pounds on the streets, scaring communities in the southwest of England. The investigation was painstakingly drawn out at many times by Mail attempts to evade justice. The arrest process of Mail was really tough, but nothing was going to save him from arrest. The determination of law enforcement in the UK and Morocco made sure that eventually their hard work paid off. The operation epitomized the firmness of law enforcement, with international cooperation as the decisive tool to organize crime networks. According to David Hucker, the commitment of the NCA toward tracking fugitives, be they wheresoever, is much stronger now. That, he explained, was part of the NCA's broader strategy of making sure that those fugitives brought back home face justice not only there, but that law enforcement agencies worldwide work together so that criminals are brought to book. He said that was not only a question of legal procedures, but also the implications that if they committed their crimes anywhere in the world, they would never find a place to give them shelter. Mail was awaiting his sentence in late October 2024, and the case vividly reminds of how vulnerable even the most sophisticated of criminal operations may be in the face of relentless, perfectly coordinated international efforts on law enforcement. His sentence would mark the final page of a criminal's life, but maybe much more importantly, his case had sent another message to the general criminals. It does not matter how far they are able to get covered or buried, the long arm of justice will one day catch them. In the end, Alex Mail's story stands as a testament to the indomitable spirit of international justice. For as long and fast a fugitive may run, no matter how tangled up the criminal network may seem, the tenacity of law enforcement agencies worldwide working together as they never have before will still see criminals behind bars, one step at a time. The National Crime Agency, NCA, has achieved a significant and often unsung role in disrupting organized crime, especially in targeting British fugitives who seek refuge overseas, including in notorious hubs like Spain's Costa del Sol. This region, affectionately dubbed the Costa del Crime, has become a symbol of sorts, representing both a hotspot for British expats and an unofficial haven for those with criminal intent who find comfort among familiar faces, cultures, and, as some NCA officials jokingly note, an endless supply of British beer. Yet beyond the sunny beaches and seemingly inconspicuous lifestyles, the NCA has been tireless in working with international partners to hunt down these criminals, ensuring they face justice despite efforts to evade the law. In addition to drug trafficking, the NCA's international remit covers a range of crimes, from cybercrime to child exploitation. Its international liaison officers play an invaluable role in ensuring these crimes are addressed globally, not just within the UK. Spanish authorities are reportedly appreciative of the NCA's broad intelligence reach, which spans multiple countries and agencies, enhancing Spain's own capacity to disrupt criminal operations within its borders. Many Spanish law enforcement officials have praised the NCA for its continuous flow of quality intelligence, which has made Spain an increasingly difficult hiding place for fugitives. The NCA's accomplishments also owe much to public awareness and cooperation, facilitated by programs like Crime Stoppers. Public tip-offs can provide vital intelligence, prompting fugitives to alter their routines or inadvertently expose themselves. By placing public pressure on high-profile criminals, the NCA not only disrupts their activities, but also compels them to relocate, rendering them vulnerable to apprehension. In one recent case, public awareness campaigns led a fugitive to change his habits, allowing the NCA to track his movements and coordinate an eventual arrest with Spanish authorities. Ultimately, the NCA's message to fugitives is clear. Regardless of where they attempt to hide, the agency's reach is global, and its commitment to justice is unwavering. Working closely with international partners, the NCA has transformed Spain's once fabled Costa del Crime into a high-risk environment for fugitives, dismantling the myth of a safe haven abroad. As NCA officials often say, while the Costa del Sol may appeal to British criminals seeking sun and a familiar lifestyle, the NCA and its Spanish counterparts are vigilant, turning a destination of choice into a place of capture. Through relentless pursuit, international cooperation, and innovative intelligence gathering, the NCA continues to assert its role as a formidable force in the global fight against organized crime, ensuring that even the most resourceful criminals are within reach. The saga of Alex Mail serves as a stark reminder that no matter how far or how fast a fugitive may run, justice will inevitably catch up with them. His story, marked by calculated criminal exploits, evasion, and the constant outwitting of law enforcement, ultimately came to an end thanks to the unwavering determination and coordination of international law enforcement agencies. Mail's arrest and extradition showcase the tremendous advancements in global policing and cross-border collaboration, where borders no longer serve as barriers for justice. The tireless efforts of the National Crime Agency, NCA, SWROCU, and their partners in Morocco exemplify how criminal networks, no matter how sophisticated, remain vulnerable to the strength of coordinated international operations. Through encrypted messaging services, border crossings, and numerous escapes, Mail believed he could outrun the law. Yet, as his capture proved, there is no safe haven for criminals in the modern world. As Mail awaits sentencing, his fate is sealed not just by his crimes, but by the collective resolve of law enforcement agencies worldwide, working together like never before. This case stands as a powerful message to anyone considering a life of crime. International cooperation, technological advancements, and relentless pursuit by global agencies mean that no criminal, no matter their resources or connections, will remain free forever. In the end, Alex Mail's fall from grace is a testament to the strength of justice, unyielding, patient, and more connected than ever. His capture, trial, and eventual sentencing are not just the end of one criminal story, but a significant chapter in the ongoing battle against organized crime worldwide. The relentless pursuit of justice continues, reminding all criminals that no matter how far they flee, they will always be within the reach of the law.